Hello, everyone, and welcome to new episode of Poppy Up. And today I have Lauren with me. Thank you so much for coming. How was your day?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My day was really good. How was yours?
Mine was good as well. Well, it's Saturday, so it's been pretty chill. Um,
That,
Thank you again for coming. You are such an inspiration, and you've made such an impact in such a short time. How
no,
do you feel about this?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on here. This is really the first time I've ever done something like this, so this is like really, really cool. And second of all, it's been really, really like not life-changing, but it's been just really cool seeing the impact that my music's had since I've released it.
What made you decide to pursue a career in music in the first place?
Well, I've always been very into like performing arts. I've done musical theatre since I was little. I haven't done it recently, but I've always been a singer, and I started guitar when I was 14. So, writing's been a big part of my life, and so is singing. So, it was just something that I really loved, and I continue to love it today.
Oh my God, musical theater. That's so interesting. I've always kind of wanted to do this, but I ended up just like playing on the piano and
Oh,
like
that's so
finished
cool.
school. Yeah, thank you so much. And I finished school, but I've always wanted to pursue that, but unfortunately, I'm just finishing high school and I'm going to college, but they want kids who went to like the theater and all that kind of stuff, and I did not, unfortunately. So that's a shame, kind of. But can you share a little more about like the musical theater, and maybe how it inspired you personally to pursue music?
I started musical theatre. The earliest I can remember was 2019 when I not starred, but we did a musical with this drama group I was with. And I was just like a background dancer. I don't know how I landed background dancer because I can't dance to save my life. Um, but it was really interesting, and I think it really helped boost my confidence, especially when like performing in front of people because I've been accustomed to it from such a young age. It doesn't really affect me like if I'm in front of people, you know? It's definitely a confidence booster.
Yeah, that's so interesting to hear because for me as well, I was always kind of scared to speak to people. And then I started to, well, obviously do piano, but then kind of like start to write and then go to like these competitions where I would have to read out loud or something like that. And it really does help. So thank you for sharing that. You've released one song, your debut
Yeah,
song, History Repeats Itself. What
yeah.
inspired you to write the song?
Well, I wrote it when I was 13, and I feel like I was just a very emotional 13-year-old when I wrote it, and I just had a lot of stuff going on in my life at that time, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. So, I couldn't play guitar at this time at all, so I was really just coming up with lyrics. So the original song is not the song that's out just now, which it's kind of different, but the first verse and the chorus are practically the same. So when I first wrote the song, it was just like completely different to what it is now, really.
Oh my God, that's so interesting that you wrote it at 13 years old because it's such an amazing song. When I first
Thank you
heard
so
it,
much.
I was like, oh my God, and you wrote it at 13. That's absolutely amazing. Can you share the story behind the song a little more? Like when you wrote it, were you feeling at that time?
Well, I can't really pinpoint one story to it. A lot of it is a mixture of a bunch of different things that have happened because I really only wrote the first verse and the chorus when I was 13. And the reason I only got it produced recently was because I kind of continued writing it over the next 3 years. So, like, it's kind of like the first verse and the chorus have a different story to them. The second verse has a different story. The bridge is about someone else. There's a multitude of people mixed within the song. But really, when I first wrote it, I was really emotional because I was going through like a lot of issues with my friends at the time. And I remember I was really upset and I had pictures on my wall and I started just like chucking them on the floor and tearing them down while listening to Picture to Burn by Taylor Swift, which is ultimately what inspired me to write my own song. And that's where the lyric like about pictures being scattered on the floor, the windowsill comes from in the song.
Wow, that's so inspiring. So you can share. So obviously Taylor Swift is your musical influence since you mentioned
Yeah.
that. That's amazing because she's also mine, and I know so many people as well. Can you share maybe other musical influences that inspired you to do music?
Well, I really really love Phoebe Bridgers and I also love Boy Genius. I'm a huge Boy Genius fan and my music isn't really similar to theirs, but I would really like to write a song similar to like a Boy Genius style song. But definitely Phoebe Bridgers is a huge inspiration for me. She's like absolutely amazing. She's just the best. Her lyrics are so like heartfelt and really they resonated with me a lot.
Well, if you're talking about Phoebe and how amazing she is with lyrics, I completely agree. But I need to say that now that I found out at such a young age you were, and that you released your debut single and it's so good, I need
Thank
to
you
say
so
that
much.
your lyrics are truly amazing and I'm just mind blown and I can wait for more music to come out. If you could choose one lyric from your song that is your favorite, which one would you choose?
I really like the lyric like still listen to all your favorite bands. That's one of my favorites in my song because I feel like it kind of like allows the listener to understand that I'm still holding on to the past, even though history will always repeat itself. I'm still holding on to that person. I'm still listening to things that remind me of them and listening to things that maybe we would have shared at the time.
Well, thank you for sharing. That
Oh,
is
thank you.
really beautiful. How do you kind of decide what to put in song and what not? Because obviously there are topics that are maybe too hard to discuss and you want to keep it to yourself, but how do you kind of deal with vulnerability?
I mean, a lot of the songs I will write them and then kind of edit them and tone them down a bit. Um, because some I have some songs that obviously I haven't put out yet, because I only have one song out, but I've got a lot of lyrics that are very, very heartfelt and emotional, but I feel like they're maybe a bit too much to put out just now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
But I really feel like about songwriting, it's about being vulnerable with whoever's listening to it. It's about like having that kind of emotional connection with whoever's listening to it and understanding that it's a universal experience when we're listening to music. And it's nice to have a song that you can kind of relate to, you know, like you can feel like, oh, I've gone through that exact same thing. That's so crazy.
So what's your creative process like? Do you start with lyrics first, or you listen to some beats and you come up with lyrics then? How is this for you?
I mean, I really love just sitting down and writing lyrics. Um, so most of the time I'll start with the lyrics, or if I have like a certain like guitar like rhythm that I've got in my head, then I'll sit down and I'll play about with that for a while and then come up with lyrics. But most of the time, my songs stem from lyrics that I write. But a lot of the time, I'll write essays as well before I write like a song.
Thank you for sharing. That's very interesting. Well, yeah, obviously it's so different for everyone and also maybe different situations as well. You never know what comes into your mind. But yeah, that's so interesting. What I wanted to ask next is what emotions or messages do you hope listeners take away from the song?
I really hope that when people listen to my music, they take away from it that no matter what you're going through, there's someone else who will have most likely gone through the same thing. Like a sense of that you're not alone in what you're going through. Like there's other people, it's not just you, like, and you'll end up at the other side and you'll be fine.
Yeah, connecting through music is honestly one of my favorite things to do as well. And when I can find song or person or people like fandom to connect with, it's really nice. And I've had, I did some research when I was writing the questions, and I really saw that you touched a lot of people with the song. Do you remember how people approached you in a greater amount, like more people, and if you could share like some stories, how people maybe DM'd you or talked to you, how your song impacted them.
Well, a lot of people have texted me saying, or DM'd me on Instagram when the song first came out about how they were going through something similar and it related to their situation. And I just found that to be really moving. I was like, wow, that's like crazy that something that I've written, someone's like actually relating to. Like, that's exactly what I wanted to happen with this song. Um, but one thing that's really made me quite emotional, like in a very good way, is the community that I've found through music. Like people who listen to my song and they're so kind. They genuinely are. They're some of like the nicest people ever. And I appreciate them so much. I think it's lovely.
Yeah, well, I just found out about you a few days ago, but I can clearly see that people are very kind, and I just want to say that thank you also for caring about these people, because obviously the community is created by lots of people, but also someone needs to manage that, and I think you're doing such a great job. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet.
Um, how did you decide, or when was the time where you were like, "Yup, I wanna release my first song," and then how did you decide that History Repeats Itself should be the first song you're gonna release?
Well, I always knew that I wanted to release music and to put music out into the world. I probably decided maybe like November in 2023 that I wanted to put it out. So it was quite a while before like I actually released it. Um, I mean, like I did have it written a while before I decided I wanted to put it out because the idea of actually releasing a song and having it on streaming platforms to me for a while was absolutely surreal. Like I just couldn't believe that I could actually do it. And then when I did it, it was like amazing. And I always knew that History Repeats Itself should be the song to put out because it's the first one that I really wrote, like fully, like to completion. And I just felt like it's a really, really special song to me.
Well, it is a really special song, so thank you for sharing it with the world.
Thank you
Um,
for listening. It means a lot.
of course. Has your approach to music changed since you started creating or since you released your first song, as it was before when you weren't active as a musician out there?
Definitely. It definitely has. I mean, I feel like my view on music has entirely changed because before I'd never really seen it from like an artist's perspective. I've never really like understood it. But going through the process of putting my song out, releasing it, like getting feedback from people, I mean, it has really changed my view. And I think it makes me appreciate it a lot more now than I did before. And I mean, from a writing perspective, my writing has changed a lot since I put my first song out as well.
Mm-hmm. And how do you navigate the pressure of being a new artist in the industry? Because obviously it's very hard to kind of break through, especially through social media.
I mean, I think honestly, I feel like what's for me will never go by me. And it is quite difficult to break out in the media and it's quite difficult to almost build your name because there's so many other people who are also trying to do the same thing. But I think it's just like it's just great overall, you know? And it can be quite stressful. I mean, I'm like 16 myself, so it can be quite stressful, but I just keep reminding myself like I love it. And although sometimes I do get stressed, it's still something that I love, you know? So I
Hmm.
think it's just great.
Well, thank you. Um, and how's your relationship with social media? How do you approach it? When do you know that this thing is right to post, and when you're like, no, I'm not gonna post about this or this because it's too personal and I just don't want to dig myself this space where people know too much about me?
Managing social media is can be quite difficult, especially TikTok. TikTok, I'm not too fond of the platform. Um, However, it is quite good for like finding a community and posting your music on. Because I used to have an old TikTok account for my music, but that TikTok completely shut it down. But I would say managing social media is quite difficult, and especially when you're like maybe trying to like tease a song or like post like a new song you've written, it is quite difficult to know what to post and when to post it because a lot of my lyrics and my songs that are unreleased I name drop quite often, so I can't really put them online yet.
How do you think your music reflects who you are as a person?
Well, I feel like my music's very heartfelt and I feel like it's not censored, it's exactly where I'm in the moment, if that makes any sense. Um, I feel like my music comes from where I'm at the time, and that's the thing I really like about History Repeats Itself, that I wrote it over such a long period of time, is that it's written from different points in my life and from when I was going through different situations and everything. And it's just really special to me overall.
Yeah, I wrote this question because when I was listening to the song, I actually realized, and I didn't know that you were younger when you wrote it, but I just realized that you can really feel it at no matter what your age is. Like, I could feel it when I was 15, and I can feel it now as an 18-year-old, and I maybe will feel it as I'm 30. Like, it's such a song that will never get old, and that's really beautiful.
Oh,
So
thank you so much. That's so sweet of you.
thank you. Well, of course, I'm not trying to like make it sound too good because it's obviously very good. Like, I really do appreciate a great art, and especially coming from someone who's been doing music for so long, as you said, and it's just really amazing. And whenever I listen to it, I feel like my weight from my shoulders just like gets off a little because I really do feel understood. And I
That's so
I'm
nice of you.
sure I'm sure whoever hears this, and maybe through this podcast, or maybe they will find you somewhere like on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and when they will listen to this song, they will be like, yes, I can definitely feel that this really, really understands me. So I just want you to know that really, just please never give up because it's so amazing and you've touched so many people.
Thank you so much. You're gonna make me cry. That's so sweet.
How do you handle creative blocks or challenges in songwriting?
Um, well, whenever I get a creative block, I tend to write an essay. So for any song that I write that I'm serious about, I'll write an essay. Or if I'm ever like in a situation where I maybe can't get like a lyric that I like, or I can't come up with a guitar tune, I'll put my guitar down, I'll put my pen and my paper down, and I'll go write an essay.
Oh my God, you write an essay?
Yeah.
Oh my God, like what's your favorite topic to talk about? Because I love writing essays myself. That's such an interesting topic to talk about as well.
It's mostly so I'll write an essay based on what I'm trying to write about in the song and see if anything I write in that essay could then be used as a lyric.
Wow, that's so interesting. Oh my God. I am thrilled because as someone who loves this, I was actually thinking about posting something today that I wrote a little while ago. Well,
Uh-huh.
not really a while. And sometimes I just feel like it's important to share something that you can write down in words. I think
Definitely.
essays I think essays are so underrated and people don't really make them or maybe like to read them or whatever. So definitely if you there's this app called Substract and
Hmm.
you can like post your essays there and maybe you can share with the world someday. This is just like came into my mind that if you would be interested ever.
Definitely. That's so cool.
Um what's your ultimate goal as a singer-songwriter for the future?
Well, being realistic within the next maybe like 2 years. So, I mean, I'll be leaving high school in 2 years. So, um, I'll have exams and everything in the mix. But in the next 2 years, I want to have played a headline show somewhere. Um, and I want to have an EP out within the next 2 years. So, I mean, I'll have obviously other singles out and stuff. But definitely putting a 2 year like limit, I need to have an EP out within 2 years, I feel. Um, but my ultimate goal, just in general, would be to get to Taylor Swift's level. That's that's what I would love to just be able to put on a show for people, like almost like the Eras tour, where there's costume changes, there's traditions, stuff like that. I think that would just be like the best thing ever. Like it'd be so cool.
Yeah, well, definitely. I'm rooting for you, and it will happen because you're hardworking, and I believe in you so much, and I believe many people as well, and you're gonna
Thank
make
you.
it. I'm so
Thank you so
sure.
much. Thank
Um,
you.
and with the exams thing, I completely understand because I am in the last year of high school right now, and it's absolutely killing me. So I'm sending you so much love and strength for that, but you still have
Thank you.
a little time. I also thought I'm gonna have more time to like prepare myself mentally, but 2 years passed like nothing, and I'm ending high school, and it's really important year, I feel like, because you really can kind of think about what you're gonna do next. But it's great you started with something now because you at least already know what you want to do and what you want to pursue. And I'm so excited for you. And I hope all of your dreams will come true.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited for you as well, and definitely good luck in your exams.
Thank you so much. I'll need it because it's. Meh. um, what's the biggest risk you've taken musically?
The biggest risk I've taken musically?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not sure if this really counts as a risk, but probably when I first was looking for producers. Um, I'm not sure if this counts as a risk, but I just emailed as many producers as I could with demos of my song. Um, and I just hoped that one of them got back to me. And when I say like I emailed a lot, I mean like a lot. I'd emailed like 20 producers with who were near my area to see if I could go in to record my song. And it was so nerve-wracking because I was like, oh my, what if none of these people want to work with me? And it was very stressful.
Yeah, and maybe if you're comfortable, can you share how did it end up and also who helped you produce the song? Because not only it's a beautiful song as lyrics, it's also beautifully produced as well.
Thank you so much. So in the end, obviously it did turn out okay and my worries were put to rest. So I ended up going to this producer guy called Mark Morrow. So he was absolutely amazing. Like I cannot sing his praises enough. He's an amazing producer. He's such a nice guy. So his studio was based in Edinburgh, which is about 2 hours from where I live. Um, so I did have to travel a bit to get to the studio, but he was genuinely like the nicest person ever. He was very like patient with me because this was my first time really being in a proper studio and recording my song, and it was just overall the experience was just amazing. It was just great.
Well, I'm so glad it worked out for you, and hopefully in the future you'll find plenty of other producers that will work out will work with you. But I'm so happy that you said that you've had to email so many people, because when I started this, I emailed so many artists to do this with me. And sometimes you just got to take the risk, even though you feel like it's embarrassing or whatever, but you will get there if you really try, and you did, and it worked out. So I'm so glad.
Thank you. I'm so glad yours worked out as well because it can be very nerve-wracking because you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. Like saying like, hey, do you want to work with me? You're opening yourself to so many people and just hoping that someone says yes. So it can be very vulnerable, but it's also extremely exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it can. And I just never ever want people to think I would like to take advantage of them, because I'm not someone that is making money from this right now, or someone that could like pay them or whatever. This is simply just like me doing this on free basis, and that I came up randomly with it. But yeah, I'm so happy that there's people who wanted to do this with me. And also it's such a great connection, because first of all, I can learn something from this as someone who loves music and is a big fangirl. And second of all, I can involve as an interviewer, I guess, and take something from it. So it is really nerve-wracking but also inspiring as well.
Yeah, I think it's so cool how you like have your own podcast as well. That's like a really amazing achievement.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. You're one of the first people to like say this. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. How do you balance vulnerability and creativity in your music?
Well, I mean, to be creative in songwriting, you have to have some form of vulnerability in there. I feel like, I mean, with most of the songs I listen to, the lyrics in them are quite vulnerable, and I feel like that's what I love about them. But I mean, it's quite easy just to add in a bunch of lyrics and a bunch of situations, but then you do also have to kind of stand back from that a little bit and be like, maybe that's a bit too personal. I should maybe like make some of this up, you know? Because I mean, a lot of my songwriting, aside from History Repeats Itself, which is entirely real, um, a bunch of songs I've written recently are just made up scenarios. Like, they're just random stuff that I came up with in my head that I've decided to write a song about and be heartbroken about. It's never even happened to me.
Yeah, it's also one of the questions I wanted to ask, like if you write based on personal experience or experience of others, or sometimes you just come up with something. And that's really interesting to hear that you're writing songs that are just random and don't have to be personal at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've written from all different perspectives. My personal perspective, like sometimes like a situation I might hear about, I'll maybe come up with something, but then a lot of the time it's like I write very creatively in a situation like that. And a lot of it just ends up being creative anyways.
One of my favorite albums is Folklore, and
Uh,
it's obviously a made up scenario of a love triangle. So having someone else do this kind of thing is really great, because I just don't need sometimes a song that is personal to me or the artist. I can just like make up scenario in my head and the movie and go with the flow. So yeah, I would definitely like to hear something like this one day from you, because it's really inspiring.
yeah, definitely. And Folklore is such a good album. It's so good. It's amazing.
I agree. Who has been your biggest supporter throughout your musical journey?
My biggest supporter has probably been my mum. Um, my mum's always just encouraged me to just go for it. And I mean, she's always said it doesn't matter what anybody else says, you go for it, this is your thing. And she's just always been there for me, and I think it's really amazing. I love her so much for that. And she's always supported me in everything I've done. And also, one of my closest friends, Cameron, he has supported me so much throughout all of it. Um, he's the first person that I actually let listen to, aside from my mum, listen to History Repeats Itself before I released it, um, which I think was really special. And I'm so glad it was him. He was one of the first people to listen to it. He plays piano, so sometimes we like write songs together and do stuff like musical stuff together, which I think is really cool as well. So yeah, but my mum and my friend Cameron have definitely been like my biggest supporters. And I appreciate them both so much.
Oh, that's so kind and that's so sweet that you guys can also write together. I think it's really important to have a support system because obviously the first person you need to go through and have support in is yourself because it's your decision to do so. But also, it's really nice to have some people around you who support you. So I'm so glad you have found that.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you stay motivated when working on your music?
Well, it can be quite difficult sometimes to stay motivated, especially because like I'm still in school. So I mean, studying takes over a lot of my time, sadly, just now. But I mean, a lot of the time I just keep thinking, like, this is something that I want so badly. Like, it's something that I'm so driven to try and achieve that I need to be writing. It's also, it's very therapeutic to sit down and just write and play guitar. So that is very motivating. And like, if I'm stressed or upset about something, it's a way for me to just write my feelings down, which is really helpful. It's really useful.
Yeah, I feel I'm personally for me, music is so it's like a therapy for me. And if you can write music and write and put your feelings out there, I do feel like it's definitely some sort of therapy for you as well. And I'm so glad you have that because it's really, really special form of, putting your feelings out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. I love it.
If we're talking about live performances, and you obviously said that you're not scared to like interact with people, but maybe if you could share like what's your dream venue or event to perform at?
So I would love to perform like a live show. That's like something that I would love to do. I don't know the name of the venue, but it's where Alessi Rose has played here, and I think the maximum amount of people was like 400, so it is a relatively small venue. But I would just love to play in this venue. It has like antique like railings and like a red curtain and everything. You'll probably know what I'm talking about. I don't know the actual name or where it is, but I mean, aside from that, I would just love to play at like an antique venue, like a vintage place. I would love that. Or like somewhere like a church where it has very, very good acoustics. So the sound would just be amazing.
Wow, that's such an interesting thing to say in the church because obviously the acoustic is so well, and I've heard nobody say it like this. So yeah, I mean, history repeats itself would eat in church. I'm saying like the live version would be just amazing. Well, I'm rooting for you, and hopefully it happens very soon.
Thank you so much. I hope it happens soon as well.
Well, one of the last questions I ask is, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. This is mostly like how to share, share if you're on music. If you want, you don't have to. If you're working on something, or if there is something coming out soon.
Wait, sorry, what was the question? You're kind of broke up there.
Oh, sorry. I
That's okay,
asked
don't worry about it.
if I ask if you are working on some new music. You don't have to share anything specific, but you can if you want to, and if there's something coming out soon.
Well, currently I am booked into the studio. So I am booked in to go and record, but I don't have currently um like anything big to announce and like right now. Um, I am planning on setting up a website, and I'm also planning on doing a Zoom call, like a bedroom concert style thing, within the next few weeks. So I'm gonna announce that at some point soon. Um, so I mean, yeah, I have a bunch of songs written that are ready to go and ready to be produced. I think it's really just when I can get into the studio because Mark is such an amazing producer. He's fully booked, but no wonder he's great. Like I get it. Um so yeah, I am booked in to go to the studio, but I don't have currently anything that's about to come out or about to be announced or anything. So um yeah, really just planning to set up a website, do a Zoom call or two, and just kind of go with it, you know? I mean, I definitely want to put out a few singles this year and then start working on an EP within the next 2 years, like within like this year and next year.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely excited for whatever is to come. Obviously, that's very understandable that, with the producing and being in studio and stuff, the stuff gets kind of delayed, even though you have some stuff prepared. But if you're going to do Zoom, I'm definitely going to be there because I love Zooms so, so much. And I'm really excited about that.
Yes, 100%.
And the last question is not really a question, it's more of like a space to say message to a lot of other inspiring small artists. If you can share something inspirational, just whatever comes into your mind to these people, this is your space to do so.
Well, I would say that don't I would say that just go for it. Like, don't feel discouraged by, I don't know, like, don't feel discouraged at all. Just go for it. You know, if this is what you want and you want this so badly, you need to just completely indulge yourself in it and go for it. You know, the most important thing in all of this is having confidence in yourself and having the confidence to go forward and try and achieve your goals. For other small artists, like the most important thing is just believing that you can do it, you know, and accepting that it might take a while and it might be difficult and it might be stressful, but it'll allow you to meet so many people. It'll allow you to achieve your dreams. Like you'll meet such nice people. There'll be such a lovely community, and it'll be great. Everything will fall into place if you are driven and you keep trying.
That was very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing this. I'm sure whoever heard it is very inspired and will keep going. And thank you so much for this. And thank you for this conversation as well. This was so inspiring. I hope we can chat soon when there's more singles coming out or maybe an EP out. And we are all rooting for you. And you are amazing and so talented. And everyone should listen to History Repeats Itself because it's a gem, truly.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you to say. Thank you so much for having me on here, especially because this is my first time I've ever really done a podcast interview. It's the first time I've ever done something like this, so it means a lot to me that you asked me to come on here in the first place. It's really special. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I'm very honored that I could be the first one to interview you. And maybe in a few years, when you're super global pop star, I can be like, well, I was the first one. So, yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, also for listening to this. And I will see you next Friday.